Good morning. It's Dr. Lisa here in Tampa, Florida, coming to you a little bit later than usual. Had to help with some things in the home today. The Wi-Fi went out, which is an absolute disaster when you're homeschooling. So I'm here today leading a huge primary care practice through this pandemic. And I really love everyone that has been able to join me, your comments, your shares. I am so appreciative, and it makes me motivated and excited to keep these lives coming to you with cutting edge information. So today, what I wanted to talk about is the panel that I was able to sit on a couple of nights ago. It is posted on my Facebook page. So you can scroll down and you'll find it with Dr. Kelly Ann Petrosci. And she is an incredible naturopathic doc who has done a ton of work in studying bone broth, a lot of other specialties that she has. And she's made it a heart-centered goal of hers, because she's right in the hotbed of New York City, to find practitioners who have novel ideas and approaches and who are handling COVID-19 in a positive way to help shift consciousness and help support people in a more hopeful manner. So on this panel, and if you can take a listen just even for 10 minutes or so of it, I think it will be worth your time, because it was a pretty cool blend. There was an ER doctor from North Carolina who described how in his hospitals, they had COVID cases, but were not being overwhelmed. So kind of similar to what we're seeing here in Tampa, where they were actually having to furlough some nurses and doctors were not getting as many shifts as they typically are. So that has become more of a stressor than the actual coronavirus, is the economical and the impact even on healthcare workers. And again, I keep stressing that because that was something that shook me and my friends and colleagues and patients when we have a health pandemic and the healthcare system is being impacted in a negative way, not because we are overridden, but because there were no patients. So he was speaking a little bit about that. And then there was a couple that are both docs in Indiana, and they had some very interesting things to say, where they were talking about methylene blue and how it can be utilized in IV therapeutic manner to increase oxygen levels in the blood, and that they are approaching hospitals trying to get protocols for using this, and they're not having a lot of success. So right now, the red tape in the hospitals, and I can tell you that I've had to deal with that to a certain degree. I do have a patient that is in the hospital locally, and when I called to try and get his wife to bring in his supplements to inquire about hydroxychloroquine and other med therapies, it's really rough. They're following very stringent guidelines. She wasn't even able to bring his glasses to him for the first few days. And the fact that people are going through this alone without even some of their, stuff that they need from the house. When I was in the hospital, my pajamas, you want your teddy bear, you want your comfortable blanket, like those kinds of things, that let alone humans to be with us and help us and navigate this. We have to think about the psychological impact that is going to have on people moving forward, women delivering babies without anybody with them. And these docs mentioned that, the protocols they were trying to present, even though they have the science with it, was met with a lot of red tape. So I want us to keep asking why. That's another example. If we've got a potential therapy that's already being used in the hospital and we're hitting a wall. If we've got people going in delivering babies by themselves, we need to be demanding, we need to be writing, we need to be reaching out, we need to be banding together that this is not okay anymore. The fear-based ideas of outliers was another point that was brought up that I wanted to discuss today as well. So I think a lot of us got a little bit more freaked out. The media really played with it when younger people that seem to have no comorbidities were showing up and getting really ill with COVID-19. And what we discussed on that panel that was very interesting was about 2 or 3 things that could make somebody who looks super healthy on the outside have a worse outcome. One is a lot of younger people are more surrounded with electronics, 5G, Wi-Fi, on the computer, on the phone, and we still don't know what those frequencies are doing potentially at a cellular basis, immune system basis, that could potentially maybe make us a little bit higher at risk. So that was one idea. Another one that we discussed is the fact that many people who look good on the outside, and I was one of those. I would say I didn't look so bad ever, never like severely overweight or look really, really pale, or any symptom that was obvious, or physical symptom that was obvious like that. But I was a mess inside, and traditional labs and traditional scans did not pick that up. So this is about the time after I had my daughter, when my immune system went crazy and I got Hashimoto's and psoriasis and sinus problems. And many of you that are out there listening to me right now, it's the same thing. You know inside that you don't feel great. Something is off. Maybe you're foggy. Maybe you're achy. Maybe you're tired. You've asked your doctor. You've had blood work. You've had scans. And these results are coming back normal. That's the call we get. Everything looks great. Or I had come back in 6 weeks and the nurse practitioner can check your TSH, which is the most basic thyroid lab you can ever get. And if that's how they're speaking to a doctor, who, by the way, can draw her own TSH, that is not very helpful. So there are people, especially young people, because they haven't had a chance to have these inflammatory issues show up and turn into disease yet, that may look perfect. So the media can run with, look at all these people that are getting sick and have no comorbidities. But when we take a deeper dive inside, they have leaky gut. They have inflammatory issues all over the body. They may be overloaded with toxins. I don't think they're scanning high sensitivity C-reactive protein. I don't think they're muscle testing for leaky gut when you show up in the hospital with potential COVID-19. So just thought that was really, really interesting point. And again, something for all of you to say when you hear the fear mongering on the media, what does that mean? Okay, maybe there's some younger people. Why else could they be getting this illness? So 2 more last quick points, and then I'll let you have a Friday and a wonderful weekend. The second wave is something that now I'm seeing a lot of fear-mongering media approach or discussions. And I just wanted to give my input. And again, these videos are mostly just my input. I do navigate through some of the science, but I trust my intuition immensely, and I like to share. And I think my answer for the second wave fear is, how can we listen to what they are saying about being fearsome of this huge curve of second wave that's coming when they were so far off on the first one? I mean, that's it. That's just a basic question. I think you can answer it. And I think we just have to trust. We have to be smart. We have to wash our hands. If you're in a large group, if you feel more comfortable wearing a mask in a large group, then do that. Try to stay as social distance as we can, but as we restore our economy, as we begin to connect to each other again. So for a quick assignment at home, maybe it's time for you to look at where you could be an outlier. Have you had your gut tested? Have you had your more advanced thyroid panels work done? Have you changed up your diet? Are you still sneaking in gluten and maybe drinking a little bit too much alcohol to handle your emotions? How can we make some shifts, baby steps starting today, so that you will not be at risk of this or any other infectious etiology moving forward? So I'd like to leave you with an affirmation for the weekend. And it is, I use my curiosity to shift fear into hope and love. I use curiosity to shift fear into hope and love. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you guys on Monday, and bye for now.